For more now, let's go to our Washington correspondent Annalise Nielsen. She was the only Australian journalist in the courtroom. Annalise, so just describe the atmosphere. You were in there. What was it like and how did he seem?
Look, to set the scene, the courtroom's on the 13th floor of the federal court complex here in downtown Miami. You got a sense of the crowds downstairs as we were waiting to be let in. We were getting briefings all day, but it was at the last moment we found out who was going to go into the room and who wasn't. As we were led in, Donald Trump was already at the defendant's table in the courtroom next to his lawyers. And the only hint that this was different than any other kind of defendant facing court was the Secret Service dotted right around the room with their earpieces. They were ready to extract the president in any kind of issue like they would be in any other scenario. But the moment the judge walked in, it was his court, his jurisdiction, and Donald Trump was formally arraigned. The court case title was read out, United States of America versus Donald Trump. And he is up against some serious charges here, 37. And at the table with him was Walt Natter, who's his co-conspirator, according to special counsel Jack Smith. He's up on 38 charges. One of the delays in this is going to be the fact that he's still trying to locate local representation. In this jurisdiction, you have to have someone admitted to the Southern Florida bar to formalise the arraignment. Donald Trump had that so he could enter his not guilty plea. There was then some protracted discussions around, in particular, one of the circumstances of his bail. Technically, he is on bail now, that he can't have any kind of discussion around the facts of the case with anyone who's a potential witness. This is quite complicated because many of the witnesses here are going to be people who are currently in Donald Trump's employ. His own legal counsel pointed out that one of the witnesses is his lawyer who's still representing the president. One of the other issues here is going to be how this is all going to run and when. But as the trial played out, Donald Trump was conversing with his lawyer quite a bit. There was a lot of chatting backwards and forwards. He was shuffling backwards and forwards in his chair, arm folded, arm not folded, and he looked pretty annoyed to be there. He did briefly look at the press gathered behind him as he walked out, but didn't say anything and appeared pretty unmoved by our presence. And it was then he was downstairs facing his supporters who'd all gathered here and then off to the bakery for something of a campaign stop. And that's been the approach of Donald Trump. Now he's getting used to more of these appearances to turn this into campaigning because he is in the middle of an election campaign. This is unprecedented to figure out how to deal with a presidential candidate, a former president who's up on serious federal charges. For those who gathered here, there were many supporters and, of course, some critics.
The Republicans are afraid of these people. They're afraid that they're going to vote them out. They care more about their jobs than they care about democracy.
I'm here to support the greatest president in the world, bringing down the corrupt governments around the world.
We need to save our country. If Trump doesn't win the presidency, the whole world will be lost.
The far right comes out, it's usually violent. And you'll notice if you watch, they just throw insults at people. They spit on the guy holding the lock 'em up sign. They're aggressive and they're violent because that's what Trump has taught them to do.
Hey, what do we know now? We know it's going to be a jury trial. That's what's been requested by Donald Trump's legal team, and that is the norm, so it's very unlikely that they'll waver from that. We're waiting now for 2 weeks. There'll be another hearing, so his co-accused can enter his own plea, and then after that we'll start to get some more details about when this trial will happen. One of the other things they're considering too is the number of witnesses, how much time this is going to eat up. We're talking about potentially 6 weeks to 2 months of hearing time. This has to fit in with his case, his indictment in New York as well. So this is turning into what's going to be an extraordinary 2024 presidential election campaign.
Yeah, definitely one of a kind. Annalise Nielsen, appreciate